Who y'all? This is for the lover in you. This ring means I'll always be true. This is how once our love I knew. This time wanna last forever. I said I never trust a girl. No, no. Satisfy my mental, my physical thing. Y'all, I had to go put my born worthy sweatsuit on. I want to apologize to Ayana. When I went and got all of my packages or whatever, I forgot to basically have her merchandise with me when I had her on the show last week, y'all. She was the woman that came on and was talking about how she has the apparel line for the proceeds go to the young girls or whatever. But it is a great quality sweatsuit and it's a nice color. It's starting to get cold here in Atlanta, so I definitely will be rocking it. Y'all go get y'all born worthy material, and I'm gonna leave her thing scrolling down there to the bottom, and I'm gonna wear it. Oh, maybe if I do the camera like this, the girls could see that I was born worthy. There we go. We'll do it like that for a little bit. Come on, Trade in the house. How y'all weekend going? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Oh my God, y'all. We got so much to talk about. So look, I got it on 30 seconds for slow-mo, guys, for the theme. We're gonna see how that works. So this weekend, I went and voted on Saturday. And if any of you guys seen my video, I'll be the first person to admit, and maybe I shouldn't be talking about this on a public forum. I'll be the first person to admit that we've been so caught up in the presidential stuff. I'm not going to lie to you. I have had so much tunnel vision when it comes to voting that unfortunately I went to the ballot box as an uninformed voter this go around. I voted straight Democrat down the ballot. So I was clear on that part. And luckily for me in Fulton County, Atlanta, luckily there were not a lot of addendums and referendums and stuff on the ballot. There was only about 3. One was about watershed, one was about homestead exemptions, and one was about something with taxes, personal tax liability, or something to that effect. And those 2, I was smart enough on. The way that the homestead question was written, to be honest with you guys, and I consider myself to be a relatively smart person, I couldn't make heads or tails of it. I could not make heads or tails of it, and I'm just sharing this with y'all because it's a real thing. I'm a real person. I live a real life. And to be honest with you, I don't even remember if I voted yes or no on it, child. I just checked something in order to get out of there. And I know that it, will have some type of effect on the people, but I just figure in this election, it ain't going to have as much of an effect or as much of an immediate effect if we don't get the wrong person in there. Somebody said it wasn't no watershed thing. It was something about the sewage and the water commissioner person or something on it. Child, it was something, whatever the hell it is, put it back on the next one. I'll be educated then. Is it me? And I'm going to be honest with y'all. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I think that a large part of me, I think that I like to consider myself an average, everyday, regular person. And I think that I represent a lot of average, everyday, regular people. I'm going to be honest with you guys. In my 41 years of life, I've never done any research prior to going into the voting booth. And I know that there are some of y'all who are going to jump in the chat and want to call me and others like me ignorant and be on your perch looking down. Save it, okay? Because most people I know and most people don't even be knowing what the hell be going on them things. So you ain't finna sit up here and make me feel bad about my damn self. Like I, went above and beyond to not do the right thing. I don't think most people be knowing what all the hell be on that damn thing. And quite frankly, they need to pass a bill called the layman's term law. And they need to write that stuff not in judicial language. They need to write that stuff in plain speak so people can understand it. I always use elder members of my family members who are didn't finish school or whatever the case may be. I know for a fact if I couldn't make heads or tails of that, I know my grandmother wouldn't have been able to walk in there and make heads or tails of that. I know she wouldn't have. Hell, my mama wouldn't have been able to either. Majority of the people in my family would not have been able to go in their voting booth and make heads or tails of it. And I'll be honest with y'all, I read that homestead question about 3 times, and I could not make heads or tails of what that question was asking. So that's that on that. Now, at the tail end of my video, I told the people that they should early vote. I told them they should early vote because there are crazy people out there. And I more so early voted for safety reasons. I did it for safety. I did it for safety and convenience. First of all, ain't nobody got time to be standing up there 2 hours at the voting thing. And there are a lot of people who are going to go out there, see them long lines and go home. It's just the reality of the situation, especially for those members of the population who are already apathetic about voting. They're going to see those long lines, or they're going to wait in the line for 20 minutes and then they're going to go home. And I didn't want to have to deal with that. But moreover, safety. I am scared that in these communities of color, that God forbid, but I suspect that there is going to be some violence. I suspect there are going to be some bomb scares. I suspect that there is going to be some fires. And then lo and behold, this brings me to the first story of the political corner today. The people is out there setting the ballot boxes on fire. The people are setting the ballot boxes on fire. And this is a form of voter suppression. And the gag is the ballot boxes are not being set on fire in Trump districts. Why isn't the page coming up? I'm having an issue here. The ballot boxes is not being set on fire in the neighborhoods where the people are supporting Donald Trump. The ballot boxes are being set on fire exactly where I knew they would be, and that's in the congressional districts where the people look like you and me. Why isn't this coming up on the thing? Lord, this is going to be the wrong day to have technical difficulties. Okay, so it must just be that website. That's fine. I can deal with that. All right, let me do this really quickly. Sorry about that, guys. All right, guys. So listen, fire set in drop boxes to destroy hundreds of ballots in Washington and in Oregon. Now, luckily, guys, these ballot boxes do have a fire extinguishing mechanism inside of them, so hopefully all isn't lost. But I don't know what happens in this situation. And I guess we'll have to wait for somebody who's more educated on the matter to come in and tell us. I don't know how often they dump these. Do they dump them and check them as frequently as they do the mail? Or do they leave them all there and get them at the end? That's going to determine whether or not who needs to revote and who doesn't need to revote. If they're going to tell the people to go do an electronic vote. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. That's why I don't mess with the mail-in ballots. That's why I don't mess with those mail-in physical ballots. Child, I'm from Florida. In every election, they be finding box of votes behind daycare centers, behind the shopping plaza, behind the Chinese people restaurant. They always, if it's some reason that as a citizen, I don't have any faith in them paper ballots. I don't have any faith in any type of absentee ballot. I just don't. But I also recognize that it is needed, and there are circumstances by which people need mail-in ballots. For one, you got a loved one or a family member that's terminally ill or bedbound. You've got somebody who's overseas, somebody who's traveling for work, somebody who's out of the country. There are a lot of reasons for mail-in ballots, and I guess we need them, but we need to figure out a way to hey doggies, what you want? We need to figure out a way, and I don't know what the future of it is, to get away from these paper and these mail-in ballots, because there's always going to be this type of thing. Guys, at the top of the show, we're going to have a pretty big political corner today, because there's not a lot going on in the world of pop culture today, but there's a hell of a lot going on in the political corner. We're going to talk about it. Also, at around 8:40, Amanda Seals will be joining us to give us an update on what's going on in her life, some of the things she's got going on, and we just going to talk about, we're going to freestyle it. We're just going to talk about whatever it is y'all want to talk about, or y'all are just going to be witness to what it would be like to be eavesdropping on me and Amanda sitting up on the phone. How about that? Oh, there's some good water. Let me tell y'all something. I know I went in on the Dasani girls. This is some Kroger purified drinking water, and it tastes better than that damn Dasani. All right, guys. So the big thing, and I'm not going to play the video, but the big thing is the Trump rally that happened in New York, which, quite frankly, I think was a Klan meeting. I think it was a Klan meeting. They had this comedian come on, and he told, it was what some who want to overlook what he did, they want to call it dark humor, but he did some comedy bits that leaned into some very negative racial stereotypes and racial tropes, and quite frankly were very divisive. And one of the biggest shockers came when he made a joke, and I'm paraphrasing here, and he said there has been a big pool of garbage floating around in the ocean. Oh, that's Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, listen, I am one of those people. I am all for I am all for inappropriate humor, right? Like I like it. I like dark humor. I like stereotype humor. I can even get into like, you know, the racial playing on racial tropes when I know that it's just coming from a fun entertainment place and we are in the space for that. Number one, a political rally during a presidential election really is not the place for comedy at all, any sort of comedy. But I just don't understand what world those people live in that during as much of a racially charged time that we are in right now, that you thought it was smart to get on the stage and play race humor. Now, here is what I have flat out come to realize about the Trump campaign. At this point, they don't care about polls. I don't even think they're doing any level of marketing research. Their straight up campaign strategy is let me undergird white supremacy and let me speak directly to white people who are interested in nothing more than fortifying white supremacy. They are completely alienating everybody and they don't care. That's the thing. Like most campaigns, they will come around and they will autocorrect or they will be clean. They are flat out saying, we are speaking to white people and a very specific white person. They are speaking to a very specific white person. Now, pardon my naivete, and maybe it's because I grew up in Miami, Florida, and maybe it's because I currently live in Atlanta. And again, this is going to be very naive on my part, but guys, maybe it's silly of me. I just don't believe that there are that many white people out there that buy into that he can win an election with. But the scary thing is the fact that they're doing it suggests to me that just maybe there is. And that's what's going to be scary to me. Because up until this point, I did not think that I lived in a world where that many white people would be comfortable with the types of things that they are saying. I just didn't. I didn't. Again, silly of me. Maybe I'm just silly and young for thinking that most people are relatively decent. I have to believe that most people are relatively decent. Um, Now, what's troubling to me, because you got people like Jennifer Lopez, who's now come out and endorsed Kamala. You got Bad Bunny, who's come out and endorsed Kamala. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that they got public. I'm happy that they made a public endorsement and perhaps that'll help sway some votes or whatever the case may be. But I'm also looking at people like J-Lo and I'm like, that's what it took for you to come out and make a stance. That's what it took for you to come out and make a statement. And then what's also baffling to me is just other members of the Latino community The cognitive dissonance alone is just baffling to me. The way people are just able to separate us from them. And granted, you may be Cuban, you may be Venezuelan, you may be Mexican, and y'all may have different cultural identities, so on and so forth. But I think that what a lot of members of the Latin community are missing is the simple fact, and it's the same thing that Black folks tend to mix. When them people calling us the N-word, they not saying you Nigerian, you Haitian, you Caribbean, you American, you this. We are all Black to them. And for the Latino community, no shade to them, all of y'all Mexicans. Every single last one of y'all are Mexicans to them. Every single last one of y'all. You know what I'm saying? So why y'all down there cherry picking identity and trying to separate yourselves and say, oh, well, he's talking about those Hispanic people over there. No, bitch, he talking about your ass too, Marislaces, Griselda, Juan, Julio. He talking about y'all ass too. And y'all still find a way to make it all right. Oh, it's just jokes. It's just jokes. Okay, fine. Let's just say it is just jokes. You comfortable with a president that joke like that during a time like this? I don't want to spend too much time on this because I want to blow through some topics before Amanda come on. But I want to point out something. I got this from Joy Ann Reed off her Instagram page. And she said, Trump campaign now says that the comment by comedian Tony Hinchcliffe about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage doesn't reflect Trump's views. Remember, as they try to weasel out of this, Tony was reading off of a teleprompter. His jokes were vetted, approved, and uploaded into the queue. They absolutely were. In what world during an election when you're trying to bring people together that you think it's smart to get up there and tell racial jokes? It's just silly, and it goes to show how unhinged that these people are becoming. I was going to play the video of JD Vance saying that they're just jokes and that America's way too sensitive, but I'm not going to dignify him. I put him on my screen. But to further support me saying that these old white men are becoming unhinged, I need y'all to look at Rudy Giuliani almost stroke out on this stage right now.
Palestinians are taught to kill us at 2 years old. They won't let a Palestinian in Jordan. They won't let a Palestinian in Egypt. And Harris wants to bring them to you. They may have good people. I'm sorry, I don't take a risk with people that are taught to kill Americans at 2. I'm on the side of Israel. You're on the side of Israel. Donald Trump's on the side of Israel. And they're on the side of the terrorists. And the Palestinians are...
So, guys, I need to stand corrected on something. I made a comment, a knee-jerk comment about J-Lo, and everybody's saying she's been vocal about her support for Kamala, so I'd like to clear that up. Now, here is the thing. It's fear-mongering at its finest. Fear-mongering at its finest. Their campaign is so desperate at this point that they're like, all gloves off, no strategy. We don't need any strategy. We don't need any strategists. We don't need any marketing companies, any polls, or any surveys. We are straight playing on white fears. We're straight playing on white fears. The immigrants are coming to take over, the crime. Oh, God. It's exhausting. And I'm ready for it to be over. Something that was very disappointing to me, guys. was Dr. Phill this weekend. Dr. Phill hurted me bad. Dr. Phill hurt me really bad this weekend. And you know, I don't mean to be any more divisive, but one thing about white people, y'all, is that even when you are close to a lot of them, when you like them, when they're your friends, or when they're your co-workers, there seems to always be that one racial incident, or their whiteness just always seems to peek through, and it's something that they always do to remind you of your place and what many of them really think and how they are. Take a listen to Dr. Phill.
For that by random Merit Street Media. This country was built on hard work, added value, and talent, not on equal outcome, not on DEI. This country was built on hard work. By the way, we didn't choose the name for that.
So as I was getting ready for the show tonight, I was wondering to myself, where did this attack on diversity come from? Where did it come from? Because DEI has been around forever and a day, and it was always regarded as a relatively good thing. And then I've come to the conclusion, it's the backlash to Black Lives Matter. It's the backlash to Black Lives Matter. When the Black Lives Matter movement came around, everybody got woke. Then they co-opted and hijacked woke. And now, it is a campaign against fairness. I guess white people are feeling attacked. And now everything is, oh, we're all equal and it's all merit. And if we're all equal, then let's be all equal. Let's remove all systematic oppressive barriers that keep people divided. Let's close the wage gap. Let's truly make us all equal. Then we can just do away with DEI. Dr. Phill, and to think that a Black woman is who put you on. And I always liked Dr. Phill because I always thought that he was very level-headed, rational, sane, and y'all know I love rational and reasonable people. And to see him come out and say what he said, it was disappointing. And it's not like he said anything real bad. It's the reason why he said it. And I want to touch on something that my favorite or not so favorite lesbian, Bernice King, said in reference to DEI and Dr. Phill. Bernice came back and said, Dr. Phil's comments last night missed a critical truth about America's foundation. My father, MLK, challenged that myth that our prosperity came solely from hard work. Martin Luther King said, again, we have deluded ourselves into believing the myth that capitalism grew and prospered out of the Protestant ethic of hard work and sacrifice. The fact is that capitalism was built on the exploitation and suffering of Black slaves and continues to thrive on the exploitation of the poor, both Black and white, both here and abroad. The Three Evils of Society, 1967. And that's the God honest truth. That is the God honest truth. This country was not built on merit and hard work. Yeah, it was built on the hard work of other people while white folks sit up and kick their feet up and relax. Where is this myth that America was built off of hard work. And Bernice said it fine. And honestly and truthfully, we don't have the time to get into it right now. Slavery never went anywhere, y'all. It just disappeared. I'm going to be honest with you. We as Americans, many of the comforts and many of the beautiful things that we enjoy are the result of slave labor. And we don't want to have that conversation. But many of the luxuries that we enjoy right now, we get them off the productivity produced by slave labor. Slave labor in other countries, paying people pennies on the dollar, outsourcing jobs to India and China, putting them people in sweatshops, paying $3, 3 cents for things. That's slave labor. Sounds like slavery, doesn't it? I want to get my brother Conscious Lee in here really quickly because he had to weigh in on what Dr. Phill had to say. And I got to get Conscious Lee on the show. I love this brother so much. He is such a dope brother, and I learned so much from him.
Trump held a Klan rally in the middle of New York where he had people talking shit about Puerto Ricans, about Jewish people, about black folks. You know what I'm saying? They even made statements like America is for Americans. Like, not only is Trump married to an immigrant, they had goddamn Elon Musk, the South African settler up in there. You feel me? You really disrespected Puerto Ricans in the middle of New York. Like, that's crazy to me. Then they had the dude that was a comedian that wasn't funny. They tried to be a comedian. He made a joke about carving watermelons with a black person. You feel me? And then I seen this dope video by Mr. Cream, and he reminded me of the history of how watermelons was demonized by white folks because black people were able to get some of the economic progression. We was real hustlers, and they ain't like that. So they tried to really discourage us. You know what I'm saying? That right there was like, in 2024, he had a Klan rally in the middle of goddamn. And then he had Phill, Dr. Phill up there talking about America is not built on DEI, it's built on hard working. Like, the fact that you don't believe that DEI is centered around hard work is crazy. But also it's like, hey, man, this country was built by mediocre, lazy white men that know how to master colonialism and enslavement, that was literally able to use somebody else's hard work. You see what I'm saying? And DEI, the reason why it's criticism like legitimacy is because the same descendants of the people that had their hard work the country was built on, we got denied access into particular spaces and places. You know what I'm saying? But back to this Klan rally, though, because it's like, so Trump held a Klan rally in the middle of New York.
For the person in the comment that said, why he making me wet, can you please stop? This man is married, got children, and he is smart. I love a good smart brother. I love Conscious Lee so much. He's a huge advocate for the LGBTQ community. But lastly, guys, I want to sum up what's going on in the political corner. This is Van Lathan said it. He's going to use a bit of expletives here. I'm going to play it, and then we're going to talk about it. And this sums up. Y'all remember how I get on y'all about how I say things like, oh, there are lots of white people out there who are not necessarily racist, but they are upholding the institution of whiteness because without it, they don't know who they are lost, and they are scared. So Van Lathan went on a rant, and here's what he had to say in reference to whiteness and people voting for Donald Trump.
Of white privilege that Donald Trump is being treated with. This is a masterclass in white privilege. Trump can't say enough to be racist.
Correct.
He can't commit enough crimes to be a criminal. He can't fail enough to be a failure. And he can't say enough stupid things to be stupid. He is so shielded and insulated by the idea and the concept of whiteness that he is unfucking touchable.
Yeah.
The thought conjured around him matters more than any reality. Any reality. He is a Christian that doesn't know the Bible, that fucks porn stars, that
grabs women by the pussy.
Grabs women by the pussy, is the least Christ-like, but the sheer promise of the whiteness that exists inside of Donald Trump is enough for everyone. White and black people, a lot of them who worship whiteness and aspire to the level of whiteness that Trump has. It's enough for them to say, hey, he's still our guy, no matter what.
It's the whiteness he guarantees to protect. That's what he represents, right? It's their being that he guarantees to protect. And that's true. That's something that they won't say, but that they're voting for.
Singular amount.
And guys, that sums it up. That sums it up. They said the thought. I had to type it. Vance said the thoughts conjured around him, the promise of whiteness. It is their life. And and again, nobody in 2024, in which I wish they just would, nobody's gonna come out and say, I'm voting for him because he's white and he's going to uphold my position in society, my position in this. But that's really what it is, guys. That's really what it is. And I think the sooner some of us get that through our head, the sooner we'll get less frustrated with a lot of them who are doing things and voting for things that don't make sense. You know, I have white people around me, colleagues and friends and associates who I think are decent people, who I think are great people, who I actually love. Okay. And I know that some of them are voting for Donald Trump. And I simultaneously know that they believe in abortion. They don't think Puerto Rico's trash. They don't believe in grabbing women by the crotch, so on and so forth. But as a white person, I want to hold on to my privilege. And I don't know what America looks like if I am not in a privileged position, and that scares me. I'm going to take it a step further. Not that I personally believe this, but I do believe that there are large amounts of white people who do feel inferior to others. And I think that many of them feel like without that privilege and that leg up, that they won't pan out well in this world. And that's why they're scared. And that's why they have to vote for whiteness. It's scary. And somebody said it only scares them because they know how we are treated by their people. Absolutely. 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 And in closing, if there is any one white person in this planet, don't y'all let these white people gaslight y'all into believing that they don't understand the unequal and unfair treatment that Black people get. All you got to do is look at that experiment Jane Elliott did. She starts off every class asking, how many white people in here, please stand up if you would trade places with the Black person. If you would want to be Black, please stand up. And nobody stands up. And she says, none of you stand up because you know that they are treated differently in this country. And what are you going to do about it? I think about that. And then I also think about this video I saw one time. This white man was being irate in the airport. He was being arrested. They had him on the ground. The police, like 2 or 3 police officers on him. And he screamed out, "What are you guys doing? You're treating me like a Black person." To hear a white man scream out, "What are you doing? You're treating me like a Black person." I would just love to see like a town hall with nothing but white people sit at a table and just discuss that. No Black people involved, no person of color moderator. I would just really like to see a group of white people just sit at a table and just have conversation about race and racism and unequal and different treatment in this world. All right, guys, we finna move on up out of the political corner. We had a real good political corner today. And we gonna move into something that's nasty, honey. Baby, they say Chrisean tooth missing in the front because she was eating coochie. And it was her sister's. Listen, y'all. In the super trailer for Baddies Midwest, Chrisean makes allegations that her sister Tesehki used to make her eat her coochie when she was 7 years old.
I was 7. You made me eat your pussy. You said what? I'm done talking. Bitch, you're going to fucking jail. Defamation of character. I remember when I was 7. You made me eat your pussy. You said what? I'm done talking. Bitch, you're going to fucking jail. Defamation of character. I remember when I was 7. You made me eat your pussy. You said what?
And I believe every single word. I believe every single word. I believe every single word. Now, hold on. Because see, while we finna sit here and point judgment and laugh, Black people, y'all ready to have this conversation? Black people, are y'all ready to really have this conversation? Because while we pointing fingers that Chrisean said her sister made her eat her pussy when she was 7, Amanda's like, what did I just walk into? Like, she was like, why Chrisean? She was like, hold on. Amanda's like, welcome to the stage, Amanda Seals, everybody. Amanda's like, what did I just, let me play it for you, Amanda, real quick.
I'm done talking. Bitch, you're going to fucking jail.
Hold on, watch this,
Defamation of
Amanda.
character. I remember when I was 7. You made me eat your pussy. You said what? I'm done talking. Bitch, you're going to fucking jail. Defamation of character. I remember when I was 7. You made me eat your pussy. You said what?
Listen. The real conversation is, Amanda Seals, that the people don't want to have is that while y'all laughing at Chrisean, this goes on a lot in families, guys. With cousins.
People are laughing about that? I mean, I remember when I went to see Precious and people was laughing. I was so confused. Like, what is funny? Why are we laughing?
You know, Funky Bunch. If your brother or your sister made you perform sexual acts on them, please put me in the comments. I just want to see how many of y'all to be honest. If y'all had relations with y'all family members, either voluntarily or wait, Moni making mine said, don't put us in this.
Oh
Amanda,
God.
girl, what's going on? Amanda's like, what did I just walk? I didn't come on here for this to die. So a lot of people are saying me, you know, unfortunately, these types of things happen. But y'all know I don't promote that crap that be going on over there at Zeus or whatever. And then, of course, Carlissa had to take to Instagram, guys, and join in on the situation. I want to do one more story before I start talking to Amanda, but I'm glad that she's here. But I want you guys to check out a little piece of Black history that we did not know that we needed. But did y'all know Anita Baker's first album was funded with drug money, bitch? Okay, Freeway Ricky Ross says that he funded Anita Baker's first album. Check this out.
The Baker first album.
Well, you know, Anita was signed to Chapter 8.
Okay.
Chapter 8 was signed to Beverly Glen Music. I supposed to be part owner of Beverly. When I gave him that $600,000, that supposed to made me 50%. Dick, Otis, Barry Gordy, all of them like, man, leave that dope alone. Don Cornelius, because
I got to turn that off because they're playing their music in the background. It's going to cause my video to get demonetized and I need all my coins. But he took that drug money, y'all, and he flipped it, bought into a record label, and gave $600,000 for Anita Baker. And let me tell y'all something. I've never been more proud of the way drug money. I have never been more proud of the way drug money has been spent, okay? Because if we can get some more Anita Bakers out there, all my people out there selling drugs, you might hear me say, keep on selling it. But keep on, just don't put no fentanyl in it. Sell weed, okay? Amanda Seals, girl, what's going on, Amanda? What's going on?
I walked into such a
a lot.
I mean, I'm here specifically I'm here specifically to talk about my one-woman show. That's why I'm here. That's what's going on.
Girl, so first of all, you had been gone from the social media. I hadn't seen you on my page, you know.
Because I'm gone for real. I'm only back to promote my show.
Well, social media is a platform for promotions. For those of us that don't know why you gone, Amanda?
Well, one, Instagram had actively started really shadow banning my page, in a real way. So it was like when people would try to follow me, it would say to them, "Are you sure you want to follow her?" Then they flagged my account saying that I was spreading misinformation, which I was not even. I don't care how many videos y'all saw where they chopper styled it up to say Amanda's spreading misinformation about Kamala Harris. Never did, never have, never will. But they were saying that also more about just Palestine because, the app itself is run by Zionists. I know a lot of people here may not know what Zionists are, but they are people who believe politically that apartheid of Palestinians is okay. I would say that the best way to compare it is the best way to compare it would be if the Ku Klux Klan had a political party and said that they should have every right to treat Black people however they want because God says so. That is Zionism. That is Zionism as it experience as is experienced in Israel. And so if you're against that and you're against genocide and you're against the Holocaust of Palestinian people, which does include Black Palestinian people, then they be trying to shut you down, honey.
And you just said they could have it.
The other reason I said they could have it is because when I had all these Black people on there telling me we don't want to hear from you, we don't think you are valuable to us. Okay.
They let it ride. They let it ride.
All right. Well, peach juice, some people didn't know what Zionist was. And so I explained it to them.
So girl, tell us about Riot in Rio. Damn.
How are they doing?
Ghetto. They know how to jump on the sofa. Now Skittles was all over my carpet when I went there the other day. There's some Skittles on the sofa. One of them ate my cup holder caddy thing on the sofa. Bad as hell. All right. I'm already a Black owned business and now I'm ghetto because I got dogs barking and carrying on. Act right, dog. Act right. Act right. Amanda,
you tell your chat to act right. I don't know why y'all be trying me. I do not know. I'm a fun gal. You all bring out the worst in me. I'm a delightful broad. Here she go with her attitude.
Listen, I saw what was the name of your HBO special? Young, Black, and Funny?
I be knowing.
Where I get Young, Black, and Funny from?
I mean, I have smart, funny, and Black.
Smart, funny, and Black. That's what I'm thinking of. But I remember seeing your comedy special on HBO, and I thought it was so funny. So, is your one woman show in that vein? Tell us about this one woman show.
So, the one woman show is called "What Would the Ancestors Say?" And yes, it's in that vein, in that it's got a lot of humor in it. It's also got a lot of realness in it. It's really me deciding to stop trying to talk to people on Instagram and talk to people through art. And a lot of people only met me through Instagram. They only met me through being on Insecure. So they really only think of me as like an actor or like a celebrity. And I'm not none of those things. Like, you just get made into that. I'm actually an academic and a scholar. And more importantly, I'm an artist. Like, that's really where I've come up. I've written 6 one-woman shows and produced them. I've toured them, and I just felt like we're in a time where we need to laugh, but we also need to get the facts, and shit needs to be taken seriously. And so I know a lot of people are also like, oh my God, I'm so anxious about what's happening with this election. I'm so frustrated. I'm so unsure. And I wanted to give people something that can ground them. So the show has a spiritual base. It has a humor base. It has an information base. And I feel after I did the last 5 shows. So I did some shows in DC, Philly, and Brooklyn. People have left and said, oh my gosh, like I was so inspired. Oh my God, I laughed so hard. Oh my God, like I feel so calm and I went in feeling so anxious. So that lets me know that it's doing what it's supposed to be.
And there's a market for, I'm going to tell you one of my favorite quotes. I know, I don't know if we're allowed to be quoting Bill Cosby these days, but one of my favorite quotes by Bill Cosby is, if you can make people laugh, you now have their attention, you can now deliver the message. And so I love what you're doing, because I think that I kind of approach my platform the same way. You get people's attention through the entertainment and through the laughs and the giggles in order to deliver the message. Has your experience been, Amanda, do you find that, because people eat you up on the internet, do you find that delivering your message through your one-woman show and your comedy is a bit more palatable for the mainstream?
I'm not interested in the mainstream. I really am not. The mainstream is exactly what it is, because the goal of the mainstream is for everybody to just follow. And I'm not trying to speak to people who are followers. I'm trying to speak to the folks who are trying to get out of the line, to really explore like themselves, to explore their worlds, to expand their minds. And I think that there's like this thing that happens where we expect that only certain groups are allowed to do that. And particularly with Black folks, that only certain folks will have a certain amount of money, folks that have a certain look, what I'm saying? Folks that talk a certain way. And, I talk about Black excellence in the show and how I think Black excellence is some bullshit, because in order to be surviving as a Black person, it's because of our excellence. Like that is deeply rooted in us. Like when I talk about my ancestors, I'm the result of generations of folks that just somehow figured it out, somehow managed to continue. Like people love to say, oh, you light skinned because you're not as Black because you light skinned or whatever. But I mean, my great grandfather was a slave owner, and that's how I got the light skin. And I think about the amount of, like, what did that great grandmother have to do? Yeah. To still be alive, to make a pathway for me. And then what is my responsibility as somebody else's ancestor? Like, that's the thing I want everybody to ask themselves when they leave the show. Like, damn, I am somebody's ancestor. Like, what does that mean? So I'm not trying to get into the mainstream. I'm trying to get into the main line of people's minds and give them something nutritious and delicious.
So I'm scrolling through the comments, and obviously a lot of people want to know where they can see you, how they can see you, how they can gain access to the show. And I know you're doing something a little different this go around, because you're not doing the traditional, well, you are doing some traditional stage performances, but this is going to be like a streaming show. Come on, One Woman HBO Max. You gotta come on, Hulu, Amanda, Hulu Seals. I
learned it from you.
Yes.
No, I'm doing a one woman show live stream on November 2nd, and we're shooting it at Kev on Stage Studio. So shout out to Kev on Stage.
Oh, Kev on Stage, yeah, that's what's up.
Who always looks out.
What city is he in?
LA.
Oh, okay.
So we will have in-studio tickets available as well. Just if you follow my Patreon, if you're subscribed to my Patreon or you subscribe to my newsletter, you'll get access to those tickets. And the live stream tickets, you can go to amandaseals.com and get the live stream tickets. It's $21. I mean, listen, I'm funding the shit myself. It cost me $30,000. I don't need to make any money, but I would love to break even.
To get my shit back. A bitch ain't got no just an extra 30 laying around. Like, I need that back. I need that back.
I need it back. I need it back. I need it back. I need it back. And when I say one woman show, it's a one woman show, but it's been a 2-person operation.
Okay.
When I tell you, Quinn, I've had the agents, I've had the managers, I've had the assistants. I got rid of all of that shit. I got rid of all of that shit because I was like, I'm first of all, anytime you have like the assistant thing, you gotta like really, you end up managing somebody else's like, and I just was like, I really want to just do the work and do some dope shit. And so my homegirl, who don't even live in the country, she was like, I'm done with America, I'm out. She bounced. We put this thing together, me and homegirl. And I just think for anybody out there, if you're trying to get some shit popping, you're trying to start some shit up, and you feel like, oh, I gotta have a certain kind of person in a certain position, you really just need folks around you that are reliable and that don't need you to like be on their head to do the thing they said they was gonna do. That's really it.
No,
That's
and you really just have to do it. You literally just have to. You literally just have to do it. I got a random question, not even remotely associated with anything that we're talking about, but I saw. So I went to college with Vanessa Baden from Gullah Gullah Island, or whatever.
Let's all go to Gullah Gullah Island.
So we went to college together, and I saw that she posted this long soliloquy because they're bringing Gullah Gullah back.
You're like a serious version, right?
Yeah, they're bringing it back, right? Simeon returns home, and it looks really good. And she was talking about how she got her acting debut on My Brother and Me, and she did like 4 episodes, which is like she only had a couple lines or whatever the case may be. That was my favorite show on Nickelodeon back in the day, and that's when I first got exposed to you.
My Brother and Me?
Whatever. Yes. Why did we only get 1 season?
Because they really wanted the writer to start cooning it up. So they wanted the characters to start being really over the top. And it was a show that was just about black kids, but they wanted it to be more kind of like, yuck. And he was like, yeah, I'm just not on that. And so he deaded it. But if you notice, what came right after that, they actually shot on our set, was Kenan and Kel. And I'm not saying they were cooning, but they were definitely more animated.
What they wanted, right. Yeah. Oh my God, it was such a good show. It was such.
They played the same 12. They played the same 13 episodes for 7 years.
Gotcha. And it's so funny because I never knew it. To your point, that's why it felt like it was more than 1 season. I did not realize it was a one. It was like 1 season. I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah.
But that was why.
I was in high school and they were still playing that shit. And people were like, wait, I thought you were 7. No. Or no, I would have been 12. I thought you were 12. No, I was 12 7 years ago when we did it. Girl. They said that you walk on eggshells when I'm on the show. I think it's just respect.
I think so too. I think so too. I mean, what y'all want me to like? What you want him
to ask if my pussy green? Like, what do you
like? I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I not supposed to make my guests feel comfortable so I can get out of them what I need? You know what I'm saying? Like, I need something out of this too. Like, I mean, I can piss her off and log off. I mean, I don't know what Chaplin.
That would be a clip. Then you can show that.
You, like, you know what I'm saying?
Funky they said Amanda Seales was difficult, and she came on the show and she demonstrated it.
So, girls, give me I can't let you get out of here. We got to talk about something political, because you're the political girl, What's been going? I mean, what are your thoughts on just you take it away? What you want to talk? What's your thoughts on what's been going on in the last couple of weeks, couple of days, couple of what's on your heart? What you want to talk about?
All I want people to know is that if voting for Kamala makes you feel safe, do what feels right to you. Just know that your exhale requires you to take another deep breath and keep running right after. It's not like you're going to vote for Kamala and then sit down. And I think that's what a lot of people are kind of thinking is like the vibe. Like, oh, we voted for her. She won. We did it. We're done. And that's just not smart to do for all of us. We need to be rallying together. We need to be also just in community, regardless of whether it's Kamala or Trump. Like, we just need to be better at being in community and start figuring out how to trust each other again. But I just get this feeling that a lot of people think, like, a lot of people got really engaged in this election that may not have been before. And I think that's really dope. I just don't want them to get winded and think that by simply just voting for Kamala Harris and her winning, that they have somehow saved themselves from the ills of America, because she's had to partner with a lot of people that are really not for the elevation of Black folks in order. She's chosen to partner with those people. So I personally didn't think she had to. I think she could have. I think she has the opportunity to win had she engaged a lot of other people on the left, but she chose to go to the right, which I told you she was going to do when I came on the show.
And just for the people watching that may not understand what you're talking about, what are you talking about when you said engage some people on the right? Who and specifically are you talking about?
So she's engaging with people like Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney. These are folks that have been really committed to Republican policy that does not support the advancement of the middle class or of the working class or of the expansion of voting rights or, specific laws and policy that directly impacts the elevation of Black people. She's also had the support of many people from the Reagan administration, and the Reagan administration was really the one that fucked this country up in the latest and greatest, because they really set forth the corruption that happens. So all the money that gets spent to just pass laws that make corporations win, but when they win, they're not taking care of us. They're not taking care of us financially. They're not taking care of us climate wise, right? Environmentally, they're not taking care of us, even in the dietary ways that things happen. Do you remember when there was a baby formula shortage?
I do. During COVID, right before COVID or during COVID.
Yes, exactly. There was a baby formula shortage. And the reason why there was a baby formula shortage was because there's only 2 places that make baby formula in the United States. And one of them had a E. coli or a listeria, some type of bacteria breakout. But it's crazy that there's only 2 places in the United States that make baby formula. Right now, there's an IV shortage, because there's only 2 or 3 places in the United States that make IVs. And one of them makes 60% of the IVs. And they were in one of the states that was affected by Hurricane Helene. And that plant that makes them has said that they won't be making IV fluid again until the top of 2025. And so a lot of healthcare professionals are on TikTok, etc., saying okay, we're running out of this stuff. So people will say Amanda, so what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I think that the first thing that we have to do is be willing to admit the reality of where we are. And I think it's really important for us to ask ourselves, what is my role? Am I a leader? Am I a pragmatist? Sometimes people be a leader, but they don't really have the vision. You know what I'm saying? So are you a visionary? Are you the person that is good at it, putting shit together? Okay, there's the leader. They're good at getting everybody riled up. And then there's the visionary who's okay, but we're getting riled up for this purpose. But then there's the pragmatist. Some of y'all are really good at all right, well, that's cute, but this is what we have to do. For me, I'm not the pragmatist. I am the visionary and I'm the bullhorn. But a lot of y'all in the comments, when you ask me, what are we going to do? You actually are probably better at that than me. You just need the information. So I'm the person who brings the information, right? There's people in these comments who are figuring out how to build businesses from scratch, right? There are people in these comments who are making meals from scratch. You all are people who are able to innovate from nothing. That's also a Black thing. So I may be knowledgeable of the topics, but that may not be my strength. And there's people in here who that's your strength. So I don't always have the answer of what to do. I just know what's going on and that something needs to be done. And we need those people too, or else what are we doing? We just walk in circles. So I just say all of that to say that there's no way that you get people who have committed themselves to only keeping rich people rich, working with you without you giving up something.
Of course. Of course.
It's just what it is.
It's what's the nature of politics.
It's just what it is. And I think that there's there's this thought process that we just need to get through this and then. And I'm okay, if that's what it is, I want to know from folks what do they think is the and then? What are the things that you want to demand of Kamala Harris when she's president that you don't feel like you can right now because you feel like it may impede her becoming president? Those are things that should already be starting to think of, and that you should already be figuring out how you're going to tap in to the people that are going to actually take that to her and challenge.
For those of you guys in the comments, you really did raise a valid point, because oftentimes those of us who have these platforms, people expect us to know and do it all. But I would just be curious, because I love keeping this show interactive. You guys drop down in these comments, and how do you guys think, as a Black collective, we can come together, make demands of Kamala, make the world a better place? I'd love to see what you guys said. I'm going to read some of them. Also, is it me, or am I the only one who saw a business opportunity when Amanda said there's only 2 plants that make baby food? That to me feels like a market wide open, and I can so see a Black woman on Shark Tank talking about, child, it was a shortage of baby food, and I came up with this great idea, and now I make organic baby food that tastes really good. You can feed it to your babies and your dogs. So there's an opportunity, guys, out there for some of y'all to be making some baby food. That's the first thing that went to my mind. And when I think about it, you really do not see a lot of private labeling when it comes to baby food for whatever reason. We go straight to Gerber or Similac, whatever the case may be. So some of y'all caterers and cooks out there, that's a market that's wide open that you might be able to corner, talking about baby food. So we got some comments. Some people said, stay engaged in local politics. Let's see.
Absolutely.
Vote consistently. Making demands as a collective. Let's see. Let's see. What said, we supposed to breastfeed?
Not everybody can breastfeed though.
Shannon say it has to be FDA approved. No, it don't. Look at all this shit people sell on Instagram. No, the hell it don't. It don't. We selling it out the back of the car like Master P was selling CDs. We selling it locally, and it got to be FDA approved.
I'm really curious. Like, why do these people hate me so much?
So you know what it is, Amanda? Let's have the conversation. I think you annoy the shit out of people. I think you annoy the shit out of a lot of people. I think that in this particular election, I think most people did not agree with everything or a lot of what you got to say about Kamala. I think a lot of people are just so scared in this election. They're like, girl, could you please just shut up and let us get her in first, and then we could deal with all that shit you talking later. I really think that is a lot of people's position. And they're like, girl,
But my question is, like, are any of those people involved in politics? Like, do any of those people actually study? Do any of those people actually read about this shit? Like, why do you think you know more than me when I've like dedicated my life to that? Like, that's weird to me. Like, I'm not gonna like it. Like, Jamel Hill is a sports like expert, right? Like, when she talking about sports, I'm like,
you shut up and listen.
Yeah, because she know. But when I talk, they like, shut the fuck up, girl. Why won't you just shut up? Get her off of here. And it's so bizarre to me. Like, like we see this bitch right here. Her haggard behind can go and vote for Trump. Like, some of y'all are just dumb. Some of y'all are just dumb. You're dumb.
Come on, haggard.
Some of y'all are just dumb. And you use words like haggard and then you follow it with just being dumb. And it's weird. Yes, I ask that every time I come on the show, because every time I come on the show, I wonder, why the fuck are y'all so fucking mean? You just mean bitches. And I don't get it, because I'm not a mean bitch, but you bring the meanness out of me. And it's unacceptable that we treat each other like this. I only come on shit to educate. And ultimately, Kamala Harris convinced you niggas that she can't keep you safe unless you don't say nothing to her. That's what she convinced you. She convinced you that she can only keep you safe if you shut the fuck up. She also convinced you that she can only keep you safe from a fascist if you can shut up about her killing a whole bunch of motherfuckers across the world. And lifting up an entire country and their government that actively works to keep Black progressives who care about you out of office. Like, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. And like, somebody like myself is like yelling it, but am I too cute? Like, what's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem? Like, if I was a nigga, would it be better? Would it be better? Like, I say these things for the betterment of us, And folks be like, how dare she want us to have the betterment of us? Like, how dare you think that me making a suggestion for how we can improve our odds of elevating be something that is against us? It's silly. It's impractical. And let me tell you, strategy wise, we lost an opportunity. The reason why we lost is because our dumbasses think that we need them. They need us. They need us. If Kamala Harris is saying, I need your vote in order to not have Trump in office, that's when y'all like, oh shit, you need our vote? Then boom, this is what you need from us. It's not to say that you're not gonna vote, but you still, that's the game. Like, that's the game. It's like the nigga that you fucking with. Like, you know you gonna let him hit, but you still gonna make sure he buy you dinner first. But you knew the minute you got in the car, the nigga was gonna fuck. You knew. But you was gonna make that nigga buy you dinner first because it just makes sense. And it also elevates his value of you. And we had the opportunity to elevate our value as a voter base, because the other thing is that they make promises to other voter bases. They have these like small dinners with big donors and say, okay, this is what we're going to do to keep you happy. They don't do that with us. They don't do that with us. And they will do that and be like, we told them that we was going to do this, but don't worry about it. There's paint on my hands. I'm painting.
I think anytime you challenge any group of people to do something different than what they're used to, it causes discomfort and unease. And unfortunately for us, we're not used to being in those little focus groups. We're used to just shutting up and voting and going along to get along. And I just think doing things differently makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Maybe it's uncertain.
When you do the same thing over and over again, you keep ending up in the same situation, because this is the exact same situation as 2020. If we don't do this, Trump is gonna run shit. And I was there, honey. I was like, if we don't do this, Trump is gonna run shit. Y'all don't ask Biden about no reparations. We need to get him in office. And then he got in office and he actively did not give a fuck about any of the things that we said that we wanted. And so even though there were people on here who actively chose to misunderstand what I said, I will repeat what I said, which is, even if right now you feel like we should just shut up and get her in office, you should have in the back and the front of your mind what you plan to do when she is in office. What demands do you want to make when she is in office, and how will those demands be made? That's what I actually said. You know, then there was folks that was like, we just need to get her in. That's okay.
You want to know what's scary and what's so funny? I can't speak about other groups because I'm not a part of other groups. I'm Black. But it feels like back when Martin Luther King was alive, like we had one centralized space and voice for what it is Black people wanted and needed. We had a leader. Do you feel we need a leader? It's like we had a leader. We had MLK. We had NAACP. Go ahead.
Yeah, but he was propped up by the establishment, and he was promptly assassinated when he stopped doing their bidding. When he stopped being the nice Black man who did peaceful protest, he was assassinated. He was an acceptable, respectable Black man to the white establishment. He had his tie, he had his wife, she was gorgeous, she was light-skinned, you know, like he had his family, he fit the mold. But there were several leaders at that time. It wasn't just him. I mean, you had student leaders like like SNCC, you know, the Student Nine-Belling Coordinating Committee down in Fisk, which would have Diane Nash and, you know, John Lewis. You had Stokely Carmichael, who was at Howard University, and Stokely came over to help out with SNCC, and then he coined Black Power as the term. You also had Malcolm X, and you had the Nation, right? So even before Malcolm X, you had the Nation that was actively creating a space for Black folks. And we also have to remember that the Black Panther Party started in 1966. Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1968. There was crossover. So you also had the leadership of the Panthers with Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton. And then they also had women in their ranks. And then we had Fred Hampton. So there was never just one leader. There was simply just one Black leader that the white establishment propped up as this is what a Black leader should be. And when he moved outside of that and started talking about reparations and started connecting beyond Blackness, because you said I'm only in one group. Martin Luther King Jr. became Martin Luther the King when he started saying, oh, it can't just be a Black thing. It needs to be a Black thing. It needs to be a unions thing. We need to, he went over to India. Like, I got to learn about what they doing. Like, and whenever you see folks start to connect the dots, they get rid of them. Malcolm X, they let him live until he went to Mecca. And when he went to Mecca, he realized at Mecca, like, oh shit, it's not just a Black thing. Like, there's oppressed people they're oppressed in the same way all over this world. If we lock arms, like, we could really raise up. And that's when he changed his name from Malcolm X to El Haj Malik Shabazz. And he came back over here. And even though he had been ousted from the nation, he was in the process of trying to build together unity outside of that. Fred Hampton Jr. Built the Rainbow. It wasn't the Rainbow Coalition. That's Jesse Jackson. But he was working with the different groups, the different gangs in Chicago, went with the Latinos and the white boys and was like, yo, like, they don't care about us equal. Like, they don't care about us in general. So what if we all put our shit together? Next thing you know, assassinated in his bed. So I say all that to say, and I talk about this in my show, What Would the Ancestors Say? Like, if we could break out of our silos and have connectivity, we could actually have the powers that a lot of people I see say that we won't do. A lot of people will convince themselves nothing's going to change. And I just think that my ancestors have created so much change, and so have y'all's. So there's no reason to believe that. There's just simply no reason to believe that we can't create change when we've watched it happen. Me and you are sitting here on a technology thing. You in another state. I'm here. We're talking very freely without the threat of death about Blackness and Black elevation. That wasn't a thing in the 60s, you know? So I think it's Martin Luther King Jr. as a leader, but I think we don't need a singular leader because there's never been a singular leader. Like, even Jesus had the apostles. There's always, you know, the messaging hits different people different ways. There's people in this chat that can't fucking stand me. Then there's other people that are like, I love you. They understand my messaging. And then you may have someone else come on that the people that rock with me may be like, I'm not really interested, but then that might apply to those folks. So it's not really that we need one leader. It's that we need one mission.
Come on, one mission. And guys, you see how quickly we got all that education. That's why y'all got to go check out the One Woman Show. Y'all got to go check out. If you can make people laugh, you now got their attention. You can now deliver the message. If we just got what we just got in that little 3-minute soliloquy that Amanda just blessed us with, imagine how much information and knowledge that you learn. Because I always learn something when I talk to you. Imagine how much you're going to learn in the One Woman Show. Amanda, how long is the show? Give or take.
45.
Hour and 45 minutes. All right, now, Amanda Hulu.
I do character. I do characters. You know, I'm telling jokes. I do a little bit of lecture. And when I say lecture, like, I do a little bit of, like, you know, just me talking my shit. But the real point of the show is to try and just remind folks of their power. And of, like, so, like, the whole premise of the show is, like, Harriet Tubman coming back and saying, what would the end, like, do I have to come back down there? And that's the whole show, is, like, really, you know, talking about through different historical shit, different current shit, you know, talking about through different characters' voices, like, well, where have we, you know, what have we been doing? Like, what have we been doing? And, you know, I know for me, once I left Instagram, I feel like I got more aligned with, like, my true self and my spiritual self. Like, I just saw, like, my shadow self come out from being on here because like that, like, I'm engaging with other people's shadow, right? And I don't even live in that no more. But I realized that I was living in that all day by being on Instagram. And I realized I didn't even get to be my best self because I was always in the shadow self of defense and shit. When I'm out of here, I get to be delightful. You know,
Amanda feels delightful.
Yes,
not
I'm a delightful broad.
Not difficult.
Nope. You know, like it was so lovely to like at the Billie Holiday Theater here in Brooklyn. The guy was just like standing there looking at me. I was like, "What's up?" He was like, "I've just never seen an artist set up their own stuff." And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "But I mean, it's like really cool. Like you know, most times people come in here, they yelling or they come in here and you know maybe they drank a fifth of whiskey or whatnot." And I was like,
"No,
I'm trying to set it up, sound check, go eat my fruit plate."
And keep my overhead low because I can't be paying all these doggone people. I'm trying to keep all my ticket sale money. Okay.
I'm also just trying to. I'm trying to like keep my sanity, my nigga.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to keep my sanity, and I'm also trying to elevate out of the place that I feel like I've been trapped in for the past 8 years because of these internets. You know, where I didn't have control of my own narrative because like people can post shit about you,
right?
And you can't do nothing about it, right? There's people that only know me based on whatever they've seen on the Shade Room.
Right. Right. And those are not always your best moments. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Right. Those are not always your best moments because in order to get the clicks and the views, they have to play the most outrageous, you cussing somebody out or going off.
And that's now become the vibe, like at Instagram. Like that's the vibe. Like, like it's like everybody can go to Instagram and give their shadow self a workout. Like they can go to Instagram and just be their worst self. Like I've just it never occurred to me to like say mean, nasty shit to somebody on the internet unsolicited. Like that's never occurred to me as like a way to exist. I just I've never understood that as like this is what I'm gonna do. But I think people see me and they feel like I'm gonna knock her down a peg. Like she's too confident. Like she thinks she all that. And I'm gonna knock her down a peg. I'm gonna get under her skin. And they do sometimes.
Of course, you're human. You're human. Well, I'm definitely big for you. I'm definitely big on anybody protecting their peace. And I am glad that you have found a way to still get your stuff out there and on a medium that is more in line with what's healthy for you. And that's the One Woman Show and streaming. And before we get up out of here,
wait. Let me just tell you this comedy comment right here. I'm in an interview with you, right? Amanda, you like talking about yourself, your issues, your struggles, your problem, your internet issues, you. Like, I'm literally here as a guest on the show, and I just gave you an entire history lesson about the 60s. It doesn't matter. That's why this place is so bizarre. Can I say something, though, that I just learned? I did not realize that the CIA was started in 1947.
Okay.
And then the Israeli invasion of Palestine, the Nakba, was in 1948. Apartheid began in South Africa in 1948. And that was also the same time that Britain broke up India and created the country of Pakistan in 1948. But they literally just decided, like, they like sat down in a meeting and was like, this your country now. And I just think it's trippy that like all of this shit took place at the same damn time. But as much schooling as I've been to, I never knew that. I never knew that all of that was happening at the same time.
So I'll do you one better. And I'm ashamed to say this at 41 years old. I did not know what truly happened to the Native Americans till about 7 years ago. Like I did not like in
they
school.
tricked us.
They never taught us the true magnitude.
No.
Like when I had to sit down and process, they came to a continent and damn near eradicated an entire continent of people. That's not taught like that in school. Like we made little
It's
turkey
called
hands.
Manifest Destiny. Turkey.
We make little turkey hands, and we made the plate with the jelly beans, and it was like Christopher Columbus coming over here was just such a great thing. And there's just no education whatsoever about what truly happened to the Native Americans. And we know slavery to be the atrocity that it was, but I just don't think enough attention gets focused on the atrocity. And don't get me wrong, it's not the oppression Olympics,
No, but it's
there's a
real.
large part of me that almost thinks what happens to them was worse. Like you came over
I
to
would
these
say
people.
the only point of conflict that I would have is that they were given reparations.
Right. You know, but then even with that, given these small little pieces of acreage of land, it's like, we're going to take this whole continent.
And
but
you know what they
girl,
would do?
You can have this
They would
little
give
area
them a
over
piece
here.
of land. They would give them a piece of land and then they would dam the river. So now they have a piece of land. They don't have access to water.
Yeah.
There's a number of tribes or nations, I should say, that just got access back to this river in like Northern California.
Mhm.
And they were able to remove the dams that were there. And now they're like replanting the seeds
Mhm.
and,
The
they're
area's
like,
flourishing, yeah.
yes. And it really said to me, like, so I want to get my PhD. That's my next move, to go get my
Okay.
PhD.
And what?
Anthropology. Because
Nice.
I have a theory that Black Americans are a wholly unique people because we were stolen from our land and all these different tribes and nations, and then forced to become a new people on land that we could not own. So our bodies had to be the land from which sprung forth a new culture, new home, new ethnicity, new traditions, new rituals. Typically, what happens for indigenous people is that humans were nomadic and they would find a place and that's where they would settle and they would form all of those things based on what the land provided them. But we were not given that opportunity because yes, we were given land, but we weren't allowed to reap the benefits of that land. We had to provide for these motherfuckers that were enslaving us. So our bodies have been the soil. And so we are a unique version of what indigenous people are. And I believe that if the reason I get so bent out of shape when y'all are mean to me is because I believe it's a result of the efforts that have been made to not have us look at each other as each other.
Yeah.
And when we don't look at each other as each other, we don't feel the need to protect each other. And I end my show every day with, we are each other's business. When we look out for each other, we lift each other up. And like the native tribes, they do that. They look at each other like we are each other. They also know that they have to protect each other or else they will die. Like their whole thing will die. And I think in America, in the United States, we done forgot that there's a whole genocide against Black people. So we should be protecting each other.
Do you know, to that vein, again, growing up in Miami, and particularly when I just left, I lived on Miami Beach, where we have I gotta look
North or south of Collins.
where was I? That was on Collins, love. I was I got a couple coins.
None of Mason Dixon.
You
All
know,
right.
got a couple coins. There are, to your point that you just made, there are things about the Jewish community that I truly envy. And in
Like what?
part, the Jewish people that I observe, particularly in the Miami Beach community, there is just this unwavering loyalty to being Jewish. And it's just like, this person could be dead ass wrong, but they're Jewish and we support them. You know what I'm saying? It's just without question. It's just like, oh, a Jewish person is running, boom, all of the support goes there. I didn't know about something. I had a friend who she started her business in Miami Beach, and a Jewish person that she was renting her salon from said, "Are you in the book?" And she was like, "Girl, no, what's the book?" And she was like, "Oh, in the Jewish community in Miami Beach, we have the book." And the book is basically all the Jewish businesses. So before you go anywhere to look for a plumber, a hairdresser, a nail tech, whatever, you go to the book to find out. And she was like, "I can get you in the book." And she got my girl in the book. Or the case, but just those things that they have. And before I turn it back over to you, one of my associates, one of my bar friends, he's Jewish, and we would always have these heated conversations. And he would say some ignorant things that he just didn't understand about Black people. But he said to me one day on a drunken night, he said, "Q," he said, "one thing that we Jews understand," that he was like, "I just don't understand why Black people don't get it." He was like, "We understand that our superpower is sticking together." And he was like, "We just understand it." You know what I'm saying? That's just how we're indoctrinated. That's just how we're raised. We understand that's our superpower. And for the life of him, he couldn't understand why we don't get it. And I didn't have the time nor the capacity under a couple glasses of Hennessy to explain to him slavery and everything that happened post that. But he was like, "We clearly understand our superpower is our numbers and sticking together."
Well, they've also had a lot more time to practice that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when we're talking about Moses, "Let my people go," like that's before Christ. Black people as Americans, we have only existed as a people.
Mm-hmm.
We've literally only existed as a people for a few hundred years.
Mm-hmm.
So we're also still, we're babies as it relates to like being a people. Like we are still very much like, we're like toddlers, so to speak, in the grand scheme of things.
Compared to other people. Mm-hmm.
And I just think that there's also something to be said for there being a spiritual base, and that was greatly undermined post civil rights movement, because we saw a lot of the churches become really focused on capitalism, and that undermined their ability to be spaces of community and spaces of faith building. And so you lose that spiritual unification. And I think there's also something we have to acknowledge, which is that the Black people that were brought over from Africa, like they wasn't all friends. Like they were from nations that were battling each other, and they didn't speak the same languages, et cetera. And then we were thrown together. So we're still in a process of figuring out how to be us. Yeah. Like what is us and how to be us. And we oftentimes have folks determining that, or like steering that don't have actual, genuine, authentic interest in us being us. And we also don't allow us to be us either. Like we don't give each other grace. You know, like I'll be expected to have people talk shit to me, but I'm supposed to respond like Tabitha Brown, even though I'm not Tabitha Brown. And even though people don't talk to Tabitha Brown that way, you know, they don't talk to her that way because she shows up different. She's a different person. But I just think it's like, there's this, we create so many barriers to loving each other.
Yeah.
We create so many barriers.
And give so many other people passes for the.
Because you know this, like people will do shit at a Black business they would never do with white people. You know, so I just I think there's also something important to know about the difference between Judaism and Zionism. And there is indoctrination into Zionism, which is different than Judaism. Like the indoctrination into Zionism is that we have to stick together because we deserve to have this land that we stole. And so it is imperative that we stick together so that we can keep the lie alive. Yes. So that's how they're indoctrinated. And that
now you don't came along and just perverted my whole beautiful story I just told about the Jewish folks.
Because I was with you until I learned more. I was with you. I used to say all the time, like, man, they on code.
Yeah.
They know what it is to be on code.
Yeah.
The other part of it though is that they have been encouraged to be on code, because America, the United States, and the deal that the United States made with Israel is if you buy if you make weapons and you test them out, we will. How's the process go? Okay. Basically, America's like, listen, we have weapon manufacturers. You need weapons. So we're going to give you money. And then that money you're going to use to buy weapons from our weapons manufacturers. It's a money laundering. It's a money laundering. And there's no coincidence that like the last few heads of the Department of Defense, which is the people who determine like war starting, they were all previously CEOs of weapons manufacturers. So it is in America's best interest to allow Zionists to continue to flourish as a microcosm. And it looks like code, but really it's harm. And they racist AF. Like, they don't like Black people. And they say, and you know, they make that very clear. They don't fuck with the Blacks, and they don't fuck with the Arabs. They don't fuck with anybody but them. And they're like, and this is not Jewish people, this is Zionists. So you can be Jewish and not Zionist. And that's what we're seeing a lot of. But the last thing I would just say is, like, even though we'll look at other groups and be like, damn, see, they figured it out. None of them have been through what we've been through in the way that we have. Like, they have their own experiences. So we have to cultivate our own version of what unity looks like for us.
I always tell people it took us 400 years to get in this situation. It may take us another 400 to get out of it, you know?
I don't even know where, you know, I know people are really worried about this election, about what it could mean for possibly losing the ground that we may have gained thus far, about losing, you know, our rights as, you know, citizens, as Black people, etc. And I guess the word I would just tell everybody is, we've been through worse.
Yeah. You know,
we didn't even have Wi-Fi.
It's also weird, really quickly, for those of you guys who don't think a lot of this stuff, especially the guys with this women, you know, a lot of times, I'm not gonna lie to you, even being a gay guy, when women's rights issues and stuff come about, whatever, it doesn't interest me. I turn my head, whatever. It's not my business. Let the women fight it. But I had a friend come to me who needed to go get abortion services recently and couldn't, and is now in a situation where an unwanted baby just may have to come into this world under, you know, not the best of circumstances. It was just a one-night stand situation, and found out past the threshold. And the simple, you know, the comment was, back in the day when we was in high school, child, we used to be able to go get them things up until whatever amount of weeks, child. I just thought I was gonna stroll up in there like I did when we were in high school, and I scrolled up in there, and the people was like, that the situation just changed not too long ago, and you can't do this. And it's like,
damn. I had a miscarriage, and when I went to I didn't know that I was miscarrying. I knew something was wrong. And when I went to the doctor, she was like, the fetus has been deceased in your body for 2 weeks.
You knew you were pregnant?
Yes.
Okay.
And she was like, so we need to expel the fetus. And the embryo, sorry. There's two options. She's like, there's a pill, or we can do a DNC, which is the same procedure that they do for an abortion. And she was like, and I just want you to know, if we were in any other state than California, if we were in many other states than California, I wouldn't even be able to do this for you, even though the embryo is deceased in your body. Like, you would literally just have to wait for it to pass. And that could be 2 days or 2 months.
And hope that you don't get sepsis in the process.
Bingo. And again, though, it's like the idea that we look at like, oh, those rights don't matter to me. It's like what you said. It's just it's really gonna take us really getting better at looking at each other and saying, like, you matter to me. I may not fuck with you, but I'm not trying to let them hurt you.
Right.
And so when we eventually, which will happen, when we eventually start to understand that it is more important for us to protect each other than for us to protect the establishment, because like folks be caping for these politicians like they are Beyonce, like they are celebrities. And it is really weird to me because these politicians do not love you. They love power. And So,
Sure do.
you know, but it's gonna be an interesting time. And I keep suggesting that everybody just get real comfortable, real acquainted with your community. And
we're gonna need it. Because listen, here, and let's talk about this really quickly. Neither one of us are fortune tellers. But to your point earlier, if you think that we're going to cast our vote for Kamala and hopefully she wins and we can exhale, no, I think that we are about to see unrest and disrespect and just people showing their monkey ass like no other when she wins. And so to your point, community is going to be very important because, bitch, I'm not trying to go to Target parking lot and just be fighting with folks just because I'm black and they mad. It's going to be very much who house can we go around?
yeah,
Who neighborhood having a block party where we safe and
Yes.
cool and got some resources.
And she were she to become president, she and hopefully the majority Senate, majority Congress in general, the House of Representatives, hopefully they would make an effort to create protections against that in the same way that protections were made for anti-Asian hate.
Agreed.
However, that's not on the books because they're literally after the Civil War, the Supreme Court told Congress, you can't protect Black people. You don't have the power to do so. They do have the power. They just haven't written it in, and we have to demand that. So you have to find out who your Congress people are, meaning who's your senators, who's your representatives, and really be asking them for the shit that you want. And it could be as basic as like, we want more licenses allotted for hairdressers. We want childcare to be less expensive. We want the child tax to be higher. But a lot of like Kamala's policies right now are really only for the middle class and rewarding people for having children or buying their first house. So there's a lot of folks though who are like, well, I had the kids and I got the house.
What about me?
And I don't know how we gonna keep it. Like, I don't know how we gonna keep it. So I want to see when she is elected, I want to see efforts in that regard. And I want to see the Holocaust in Palestine ended immediately. And I want to see because I was saying to other people, like, what do you want to see? So I'm telling you what I want to see. I want to see corporations not held to such freedom. I want to see real efforts made at curbing climate change because Black and brown people, we hurt the most.
So let me tell you what I want to see. I don't think that corporations should be in the housing business.
No.
They've got whole and this is only something I've seen in Atlanta, but since moving back, they've got entire subdivisions. And you guys, queue up the comments because we're going to read a few. Because I like ending on this note about things we want to see. I want to know what you guys want to see. I want corporations out of the housing business. I don't think that Amanda Seals Corporation should be able to own a subdivision and then you're charging astronomical rent.
Yes.
And why is the subdivision being built and it's rental property? So I definitely want to see that happen. What else?
Wait. Let me say something though. I read that there's a company that owns 80% of the housing. I want to say it's in Atlanta.
It is.
And which ends up coming out to, they said, 28 homes to each homeless person.
Yeah.
And those homes are oftentimes vacant because people can't afford them.
Black Rock. Yep. Black Rock's one of them. I think it's Black Rock, and it's another one.
Black Rock is very scary.
So I would like to see that done. What else would I like to see? I would like to see.
What about LGBTQIA stuff?
It's so funny with Me personally, even being gay, I don't know specifically what I would want in that space. I mean, I think ultimately what I want for the LGBTQ community is not something that law can pass. I just want people to treat us nice and just to leave us or don't treat us at all. You know what I'm saying? I'm all right with you. I'm all right with
Right.
you just not even treating me at all. I mean, I honestly think if people were just nice and kind, that there wouldn't even need to be any, laws.
Legislation.
Yeah, legislate. Why do I need to legislate treating people with kindness and respect and understanding? I don't know that there's anything specific that I would want to see in this. I'm trying to think what else specifically that I want that I see. Being
What
being a Floridian, I would like to see that monopoly on homeowners insurance broken up. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see something done about the homeowners insurance issues.
It's crazy.
In Florida.
My mom is in Florida.
Yeah, like you can't, if you don't already have your house or have had your house, it's kind of very hard to get in down there in Florida. So I would like to see those changes. I'm trying to think what else affects me.
Immigration. You know any folks that are immigrants or?
I do. But going back from where I stand in my own ignorance about it in totality, the biggest issue that I see is just people being treated poorly. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, if y'all would just stop treating people poorly, you know what I'm stop treating people bad. And I don't know that that's
I feel like they create that's being created by both Democrats and Republicans. This idea that immigrants are somehow in the way of Americans, like naturalized citizens, being able to get their just due. And that's just to me something that they use as like a political kind of talking point, because the United States has always utilized immigrant labor. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but like Haitians were brought over to fight in the Revolutionary War. I think it's the Revolutionary War. Haitians were brought over to fight. Mexicans were utilized in World War II and then sent right back to Mexico. So, like that, there's always been immigrant presence in this nation.
You know what I would love to see, and we'll never see it in real life, or maybe we can get a fictionalized version of it. I would like to see a world where America collapses because we successfully deport all the immigrants. Like, I would like to see that movie and see it play out and see it like really mess up the Fifth Avenue rich person's life and how they realize what's
going on in Florida, right? Wasn't there because DeSantis had passed the whole thing.
So he did something down there in Florida that scared, you had to, if you got somebody illegal immigrant in your house, this will happen to you, that'll happen, and you'll go to something crazy, and like overnight, all those people packed their shit and left, and it completely folded the construction industry.
Right.
Completely folded. And so then it's weird because then you've got like the same, we hate immigrants people hollering about, I'm mad my house not ready. You can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying? You can't have it both ways. And it's funny, and not that I support what she said, but like, remember when Kelly Osbourne got on The View and said,
you were gonna say this.
And said, who is going to clean your toilets? You know what I'm saying? Going back to deporting them all and watching how it affect areas of people's lives that they don't even realize, immigrants help with. Let's talk about our produce industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas is not going out there picking strawberries.
Nah.
Okay. We feel like the ancestors paid
You
that farm debt for us. Black people ain't doing it. We're not doing construction. I know niggas right now been unemployed for a year. Okay. We got a place down in Florida called Labor Ready. It's day work. You just walk down there. The first 100 people that get here first thing in the morning, they get to go work. Okay. Niggas will not go to Labor Ready, bitch, because they're like, bitch, I'm not doing no construction. It's hot. Okay. They're not doing it. Who do y'all think do that work? You know what I'm saying? Like,
gladly, though.
Gladly.
Like, gladly. They be
gladly.
Like, my friend.
So you know what? Now that I think about it, I would like to see a national campaign where we actually begin to uplift some of these, immigrant workers. And I also think, though, since we're talking about immigration, I would like some reform on some of these policies that would dismantle some of the disparities in immigrants that look like me versus immigrants that look like white folks, because the way
Ukrainians.
the way, you know, especially, and it's a huge point of contention in Miami, the wet foot, dry foot policy, how for optically it looks like y'all just let all the Cuban people in, but the minute the Haitian people come, you send their behinds right back. You know what I'm saying?
What they do.
Yeah, you know, so I would like to see some reform in that regard. Healthcare is always a big one. Like, get this healthcare, get this cost. I honestly, capitalism and healthcare should not exist in the same sentence. There just should not be a world where I am making profit off of prescription drugs or making profit off of providing healthcare. It feels sick. It feels sick that you've created a drug and you're going to say, we know people need this. And because they need it so bad, and that's the one area where people will spend all their money on trying to prolong their lives, that we are going to jack the price up for this, not because it cost us this to make it, but simply because
economics.
Now that I think about it, something that affects my community, the LGBTQ community, you know, HIV and AIDS medications are ridiculously priced. And here is the gag. I honestly do believe that there is a cure for AIDS, but we're at a point now where they got people on the daily medication that you will have to take for the rest of your life. Okay, Mr. Capitalism, I'm gonna give in to you. If you're gonna keep people on a medication that they got to take every day for the day, can you make the medication $10? If I'm gonna work with you, because politics, it's got to be give and take. I'll work with you, fine. You're not gonna give the community the cure, fine. You're gonna keep the community on the drug every day. Can you make it affordable, please?
Well, then there becomes the concept of like, did you create the disease to then have to create the drug?
Come on. Oh, something else that I want. I think our whole FDA should be blown the fuck up into smithereens. We are the only country where our food is up for debate. Like, our food is up for discussion. There should not be any type of review board. Let me review what chemicals you're putting in the food and then determine if you can give it to the people. The simple fact that places like McDonald's serve different product in different countries. The simple things like Subway's bread is classified as cake overseas because it's so much sugar in it, and they will not allow them to call it bread. But come on over to America, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's another one.
They'll flip it for the other countries.
Yes, they flip because of their laws. Like, the chemicals that they put in our food, and our FDA is supposed to be here to protect us, and you're not protecting us.
But that's also the same government agency that allowed for OxyContin and oxycodone to get manufactured and, of course, create all of this nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Because because then that works together with the big pharma.
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna give you food that make you sick, and then we're gonna give you drugs and charge you a bunch of money to deal with the sickness that we caused you.
And make your insurance premium super high. You see what I'm saying?
And that's my thing. I'm like, can we do something about this insurance thing where you get insurance, but then if you have to use it, they charge you more. So now you're trying not to use it. So what am I doing? What am I doing with this insurance now?
And then you have people
have to have it.
You have people like me in my younger years. I was like, well, you know what? I'm relatively healthy and don't go to the doctor anyway. I'm just not gonna have the shit.
Same.
Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. When I left corporate America, at 27 years old. From 27 until like 38, I didn't have insurance because, bitch, I wasn't finna be paying $800 a month out of pocket for some shit I don't even use. And when I did get gonorrhea or chlamydia, I just went to the walk-in clinic. I went to Miss Concentra and paid $125 and got my shot and my pill and went on about my business.
Oh, here's a good one. If insurance, medical insurance, it should all be lumped together. Like dental and vision and medical should not be separate. And then also medication. Like, why are they all of this shit got to do with the body? Last I check, my eyes is on my body. That's medicine.
It should all be one plan. It should all be one plan. I'm trying to think what else.
I mean, you have a really dope list right here.
I think that there needs to be some level of credit reform. I think that a lot of poor, lower middle class people have horrible credit, but pay their rent on time. Like one thing most people are going to do is keep a roof over their head. I think that the ability to extend a mortgage to somebody should be based less on credit worthiness and more on rental history.
Do you know when the credit score was invented?
When?
1989.
I believe you, because my father said to me one time, he said, Quentin, I don't understand this stuff with this housing and stuff. Now he's like, well, me and your mama bought that house. We went to the bank. We took them our check stubs. We said, this what we make. The bank said, this what we going to give you. And we went and picked out a house, and that was all to it. And I was born in 83. So yes, that makes perfect sense. But I think that, I look at people like my grandmother and people like my aunt who chronic renters. Like my grandmother would rent from the same landlord for like 17 years, 10 years. Someone like her. Now listen, credit might have been bad, might have skipped out on a car note here and there, might have paid a light bill late, might have paid a phone bill late. But that rent was paid. That's somebody who should be a homeowner.
Fair.
People need a roof over their head. You know what I'm saying?
And by the way, I know in California, when I bought my first house, I had to show, in order to get a loan, I had to show that I hadn't missed a rent payment for a year. I had to also have so I had to show that I hadn't missed a rent payment for a year. I also had to show that I hadn't missed a car payment for a year. I also had to show that my credit score was above 750. And then because I didn't have a W-2, because I'm a performer, I had to show where every single check came from.
And how consistent it was and all, and explain it and underwriting.
I've been on a TV show for 5 years. Like I've been on it for 5 seasons. They're like, and. So no, I think, all of this stuff is
should be bipartisan ass. They should be bipartisan ass that don't deal in ideology or religion or none of that.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that the people that are in office these days are not in office to make changes. They're in office to get reelected. Yeah. So the people aren't what get them reelected. It's the donors. Yeah. So their first job is to make them happy and those lobbyists. So their first job isn't to make us, have an easier life. Their first job is to make them make easier profits. And then between that and then fundraising, there just really isn't enough time left over to actually get to us. So that's also why like corporate money in politics, it's like when I saw that Kamala had raised $1 billion, I'm like, for what? Like, why is there $1 billion to give to a candidate, but there's like food insecurity? Like they're voting to not give kids free school lunch. This don't make no sense
at all.
So,
at all.
Well, I turned off the comments so that I could just talk to you.
Oh, we finna get out of here. Like, I need to go eat. Anyway, y'all, tell the people one last time for they get up out of here when the show is, what time it starts, how they can get it.
So if you're interested in laughing and learning, and if you are about the type of shit I'm about, which is how do I learn more so I can know more about what to do to make my life better, make my people's life better. If you have been frustrated and just annoyed by all the shit that's been going on and feel like can't nobody hear you and you just by yourself. Also, if you want to simply just be in community with folks. I will be doing my one-woman show, What Would the Ancestors Say, on November 2nd. You can buy your live stream tickets. They're $21. You can get them at amandaseals.com. This is a project I've put together myself. This is my latest one-woman show. And its goal is to really ground us before this election and really kind of remind us where we've come from, what's within us, so we can make smart decisions about where to go next.
And then too, because I'm finna put it out there because I had already told Amanda to start doing this. Amanda Seals will be coming to a city near y'all. Y'all need to get in my sis inbox and let her know what venues y'all. Cause I do this all the time.
Actually, well, let me tell you, I don't want to do no more ticketed shows.
You don't?
I hate selling tickets.
Really?
I just want to. I really do. Like, I hate it. It feels like I'm peddling my wares. And at this point, I'm like, if you work for an institution
that want a sponsor,
if you work for an organization, you work at a library, you work at a museum, you work at a school, a college, a university, or an institute that has a budget to bring dope artists through to come and perform and give you all that they do, baby, that's what I need. And there's a form on my website for that. Like, even so far, like, we've had some schools start reaching out about me doing the one-woman show there, because the show is funny, but it's informative, and it's a lot of Black history that a lot of people may have skipped over. And that's based on me realizing that even though I have a goddamn master's in African-American studies, I missed a lot of shit.
Are you plugged in with the speakers bureaus?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, you know, American Red Cross, people like that, child, they'll fly you out and pay you $20,000 just to sit there and talk for 15 minutes about nothing, honey. I know this money is be so easy sometimes. It feels criminal. I be feeling so guilty sometimes.
But if you know how to, you know, talk to people and talk to their hearts and their spirits, you know, then you can, people see that and they're like, I want you to come and talk to these people. So that's where I'm at. So,
you know what, Amanda, we got to do too. We got to pick a city one day, or when I come to your city and do a joint party, and we're going to sell tickets and get all our money though. I'll peddle the tickets. We gonna yeah.
Well, you know
what, Amanda, I'm gonna give you an idea, and I want you to run with it. So I'm gonna tell you, I used to tell this and get out of here. I used to do me and T.S. Madison. We went on the road touring for like a year. And you know, the tour money is great, but it's hard work. And so with me doing my Down to the Bar party series, I like that better because it took the onus off of me of having to entertain folks. Like, I just come, the DJ is playing, and we just mingle and drinks, and it's fun. And I like that better. It's easier on my spirit. I think, Amanda, you could throw some dope parties or whatever.
I don't like the party.
You don't like the party. Some dope brunches. You don't like the brunch?
Yeah. I mean, I was a DJ, so I'm used I'm used to being the one playing the record. So, you know, like, once I'm not, I'm like, okay, let me just dance.
Right.
Let me just
throw some dope brunches in terms of building community, because there are a lot of people who would just want to breathe your air and be around like-minded individuals. Like, I know with me, what binds my people is old school R&B. They just love it. They know it. They know when they come to a Down to the Bar event, we gonna sing and have a good time. And it's just a huge community. And so I think you should do the same because you got the stuff.
Thank you, sir. Now, last time I was here, you was like, donate to Amanda Cash App. And folks really showed love. Now, I done curse folks out. So, you know, they probably like, man, fuck her. But
let me put it in the thing real quick. What is it?
I don't want you to donate to my Cash App. I want you to buy a ticket.
Buy a ticket. That's what we're doing. We are that's right. I've already, when I turned my face and I was typing, I had put it in the description box. So it'll live, the information, the November 2nd, all of that, it's in the description box of this video, guys, if you ever have to go back and reference it. And y'all know how we do, Funky Bunch. Run up the register, even if you don't want to watch the shit, even if you don't think the bitch funny, just buy the damn ticket. Y'all hoes got $21. Just, y'all, they tried to cancel my sis. She got to work. She got bills to pay, okay?
Really they tried to get me out of there.
Somebody said ticket bar. Funky Bunch, y'all run up Amanda.
Oh, y'all buy tickets? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Y'all run up. And listen, for those of y'all who don't like Amanda, y'all should really buy a ticket so she can stay the fuck off Instagram and stay her ass over there in the theaters or whatever, and she can annoy the people over there. So y'all need to really be the ones buying tickets.
And you can see like a little trailer of what the show is really on. Hold on. Can I
send it? Text it to me. I'll run it all this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, text it to me and I'll just run it all this week on the show. Y'all get y'all tickets.
Thank you, babe.
For Amanda said, yeah, you know, we gonna
wait, Beautiful said Heifer cuss us out, but we gonna support you.
Yeah, no. Listen, you ain't black for real if your mom ain't never cussed you out. Let's cuss him out. She didn't cuss y'all out. She was getting,
so sorry, but that's a no for me.
Your attention. She was getting.
You know what's interesting though? Like you'll have some people that are like $21. That's crazy, but then you have other people that are like, oh my gosh, that's such a reasonable price. And I want to just point out to y'all, $21 for a ticket. I paid $32,000 to Columbia University to get my African American Studies master's degree. I paid whatever 12. Well, no, my first year at SUNY Purchase was 28,000, and then 12,000 for each year after that. So whatever that math is, right? Then all the books I done bought, all the acting classes, the singing classes, the transportation costs of going to all these places. All of that is wrapped up into the $21 ticket because, baby, I'm using every talent I have in this motherfucking show. At last night, I ended up beatboxing. I didn't even mean to. And I said, oh, you beatboxing now, nigga. All right.
That is too funny. Amanda Sears, everybody. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us.
Don't eat your food.
Got to chop it up again. And Funky Bunch, I don't know. I'm finna call one of my friends.
Asking about is a cast iron skillet and unsanitary?
Right.
What was the answer?
So there's a process called seasoning the pan. I would always hear people talking about it, but I thought that meant you just leave whatever you cooked in it in and you just keep recook. Because my cousin Tina would always say things like, oh, the cast iron skillet holds the seasoning and this seasons your food really good. And I'm like, well, I don't want a pan that holds the last thing that I cooked in it. That feels unsanitary. And they were like, no, Q, you're using the wrong or interpreting the word seasoning wrong, or whatever the case may be. So even though there's one in there that got bacon grease in it now from when the last time
people absolutely be leaving.
They leave the grease in there. Or I don't know, child. Just let my boyfriend handle that. He's the cook. So
all right. Well, for those who are saying, she likes talking, so she doesn't want to leave. I like talking to Q. I think he's interesting and smart and funny and black. And I like talking to people like that. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Indeed. And we'll chop it up soon.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye, Funky Bunch. See y'all hoes later. See y'all tomorrow. Bye. All right. Let's see.